Our action often fall in line with thought. If I think about something, I'll likely be doing or getting ready to do what I'm thinking about. Many preach a concept that's unbiblical. You have not been called to salvation to continue living unholy lives. In 1 Corinthians 15:34, Paul writes, "Awake to righteousness and sin not." If you continue doing the same things you did before you were saved, what transformation occurred? What really happened? In this video, I will discuss the desire to change that comes after experiencing Jesus. My name is Josiah Hall, and this is True Freedom Ministries. In Philippians 4:8, Paul writes, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." He understood the concept of thought. In Ephesians 4:27, he writes, "Neither give place to the devil. If you give him an inch, he'll take you on a trip around the world. As a friend once told me, you'll be butt naked in East St. Louis huffing spray paint. Is that where you want to be?" I've often heard the argument that change doesn't always follow salvation, but change is the heart of salvation. What man walked away from Jesus the same as when they met him? Perhaps change doesn't immediately follow salvation, but a desire to do so will. This thought process is not crediting salvation to works or claiming you become godlike robots, only that you have a desire to be more like Jesus. In Romans 13:14, Paul instructs us to put on the Lord Jesus Christ and do not fulfill the desires of the flesh. In 2 Corinthians 10:3-5, Paul writes, "Though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought captive into the obedience of Christ." I once heard a man preach 3 steps to changing your mind. He said, first, let's not allow that unclean thought any admittance. Treat it like a rogue agent who just sold you out. 2, replacement. Or as the scriptures teach us in Colossians 3:2, set your affections on things above, not on things of the earth. Think a different thought. 3, repetition. Repeatedly play that good thought over and over in your mind until it grabs hold. Walk humbly, show mercy, be helpful, loving, compassionate. Fashion yourselves not after this world, for you were an alien in a strange land. This is a cold world where kindness is unheard of. In 1 Peter 1:16 he writes, "Be ye holy, for I am holy." Mold yourselves into the image-fitting godliness, not worldliness. Be like him. You can change your address, job, phone number, clothes. You can even change your cell phone service provider. But if you don't change your mind, you'll be the same old person you were before you allegedly got saved. I'm a former gangbanger, recent parolee, former drug addict, super promiscuous, and downright dirty dog who has been transformed into the image of Christ. When people see me, I want them to see Jesus. God pulled me out of the mud and molded me into an image of his Son. In Galatians 2:20, Paul writes, I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Christ lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. The old desires have been suppressed by the power of the Almighty. The old me is dead, and everything about me is new. Now I'm a full-time college student, working full-time and actively involved in helping others. Not because I believe you have to in order to keep salvation, but because I desire to help others. I love people and want to help them. The desire to do so came after experiencing Jesus. As it is written in Haggai, consider your ways. I pray that you found this video both enlightening and encouraging. As aliens in a strange land, I want to encourage you to do one thing. Phone home. As John 8:32 reads, he that the Son sets free is free indeed. Let the shackles fall. Once again, I'm Josiah Hall, and this is True Freedom Ministries. Love and prayers, always.